American Rifle Company. They make these absolute gems called the ARC rings, and I've had these in use for the last 6 to 8 months, and I absolutely adore them. These come in at around $180 for those that are unfamiliar. You can get them from anywhere from 1 inch all the way up to 40 millimeter size tubes. Absolutely gigantic. Even though for the 40 millimeters, I think they're $30 or $40 extra. But is that worth it? I think so. These rings are sensational, and they're so easy to use and set up. You might think, well, one bolt cross bolt might not be enough for torquing it down. Well, a lot of rings are single bolt cross through. Well, some of you might be saying, well, you only have one cross bolt for the top as opposed to 4 or 6. Yeah, you might have a point with that, but these are the easiest rings I've ever used to set up a scope. Why? Exactly that. You only have a single bolt. Let me show you. Fortunately, they used the same size Allen key for both the cross bolt and the tightening bolt for the top part of the rings. Remove that real quick, and you have this fantastic little clamshell setup. Why do I like this? I'll show you even further. As far as how they look on the rail, I think they look quite attractive. Plus, they don't have too much girth or width to them that you have to worry about things interfering as much. I think they're an absolute home run. As far as weight's concerned, these are both 34 millimeter and by 24 high, so they're pretty low. And they come in at just about 5.4 ounces. Now, if you're too worried about these pins, if you're curious about what size they come in just under 1/8 of an inch. They're 0.115, which is fairly large. So one such alternative that I have to those readily available are these Seekins/Vortex Precision rings, which come in a little bit less expensive and actually a little bit lighter, about 1/2 ounce. But if I had to choose between these two, I actually really like the ARC rings a little bit more as far as the aesthetic goes and ease of setting them up. One major reason why I like them is as simple as this. Once you get the rings properly torqued to your rail, you throw the scope in like so. And once you get it clocked, orientation wise, you come over here and you snug these up, and then you're done. You don't have to worry about the scope rotating as you tighten down a ring, which I know some people will say that they've never had that be a problem, but for me, I've had that be an issue numerous times. And with these, it completely eliminates that. And then you're done.
Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to do is, as you can see, the reticle's mostly lined up, but the rings are loose on the scope. So it's torqued down to the rail, so that's properly set up. I'm curious to see if the scope is going to rotate at all when we torque these rings down to about 15 inch-pounds. So right now that's pretty damn close to lined up, and let's torque these down. I'm going to go with the front one first, just snug, then the rear one just snug. Then I'm going to go back to the front one and torque it down, then the rear one and torque it down. And I'm going to repeat the process, torquing and confirming torque settings. That looks absolutely fantastic. So now I'm going to loosen up the rings on the rail, which are currently set to 40 inch-pounds, tightening up the front and then the rear. And we're going to see if this thing will return to 0. So loosening up front and rear. As you can see, nice and loose. I'm going to push forward on the rail. I'm only going to snug these up. I'm not going to torque them just yet, but the torque wrench is set to 40 inch-pounds. So front and rear are torqued. Well, not torqued, they're snug. Go back to the front. I'm going to torque this. Rear and torque. And one more time. Front and rear for confirmation. And it looks like we're very, very, very close. Really, really close. All right, let's try it one more time. Loosening up the front all the way and the rear all the way. You can see wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah. Push forward on the rings, snugging up the front, snugging up the rear. Now, if I was crazy enough to do this in multiple steps, it would probably come out a little bit better, but I'm going to torque the front, then the rear, torque the front again, torque the rear. And that looks to be really, really close. And just for good measure, I'm going to do it one last time, and we'll call it quits. So I'm loosening up the front, loosening up the rear. Everything is loose, putting forward pressure for recoil purposes. Snugged up the front, snugged up the rear. Now I'm going to torque the front, torque the rear, torque the front one more time, and the rear one more time. That's friggin' fantastic. It's not 100% perfect, but it's so close that I wouldn't even be overly concerned. Because again, these rings are mostly set up for permanent setups anyway, but it's fantastic to see that these rings do not rotate the scope when you torque it down, which for me is a huge selling point, especially with all the scopes that I constantly interchange with. It's just so much easier than having to crisscross back and forth and having to worry, oh, did I torque the left one down first or the right? Oh, do I have to go front and rear now? No, it's just 1, 2, done. These rings are worth their weight in gold as far as I'm concerned.
So there you have it. The American Rifle Company rings. They are fantastic. I really, really love them. I love everything about them. The price is a little high. $180 is not something to scoff at, but I think you're getting some of the best rings you can get for the money. Yeah, you can bump up to spur rings. They're going to be a little bit more, at least $100 more than these, and I don't think they look as good as this. Or maybe you have limitations as far as how wide your rings can be or how much room you have on your rail. They also look absolutely fantastic holding the Steiner T5 XI 3-15. To me, they are just about perfect. And with that, thank you very much for watching. See you again next time. And a very huge thank you to all of my Patreon providers. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to help support the channel but don't want to join my Patreon, I completely understand. But you can still help support by using my affiliate links in the description below. Thanks again for watching.